Goody Two Sticks here. Welcome to the first of this series, Cast-Ons with a Purpose. The long-tail cast-on is the go-to cast-on for many knitters. Today, you will learn a more comfortable way to do that long-tail cast-on, and it's a way that does not tire out your thumb, and it makes the tensioning really easy. Music to your ears if you need to cast on 100 stitches or more. So let's pick up our sticks. When you're trying to decide how much tail to leave for the cast on, allow about 1 inch per stitch. If you're using a very bulky yarn, allow more. If you're using a very fine yarn, you can get by with less. But I usually estimate about 1 inch per stitch, and that usually works out happily. I like this method of cast on because I achieve a more even tension on the bottom of the cast on. So let me show this to you. First of all, start with a slip knot. Place a slip knot on your needle. Then, holding the tail in the left hand and the working yarn in the right hand. The working yarn, by the way, is always the yarn that goes to the ball. Bring the tail yarn counterclockwise around the thumb, forming a loop. Bring the needle tip under and into that loop. With the right hand, bring the yarn counterclockwise behind the needle tip and back to the front. With the left hand, place the thumb loop over the needle tip without twisting it. Draw the tail yarn until you've got a tidily formed stitch. Don't do it too tightly, because too tight of a cast on is nothing but mischief. It always brings trouble. Okay, let's go through that again. The tail yarn comes counterclockwise around the thumb, forming a loop. The needle tip goes under and into that loop. With the right hand, bring the yarn counterclockwise behind the needle tip and back to the front. Place the thumb loop over the needle tip without twisting it and draw it into shape by pulling on the tail yarn. And allow about 1/4 inch between stitches. Just be gentle with this stage, okay? One more time. You do realize, I hope, that when you are doing the long tail cast on, you are actually achieving 2 steps at once. You're getting your cast on accomplished, but also your first row of knitting. Let me demonstrate that a little more clearly. I have tied 2 contrasting colors of yarn together like this. You would not have this at the start of your work. That's a mess, right? But I'm just doing this to help you see more clearly what you're achieving with this cast on. Do you see? It is the tail yarn that forms this cable on the bottom. And it is the working yarn that forms the stitches. So you have achieved both a cast on and your first working row at the same time. Because of that, many people then decide that if you're working stockinette, this is going to be your right side. And if you're working garter, this is going to be your right side. See how these purl bumps show up here? So this fits right in with garter stitch. Well, maybe I shouldn't say many people. I should say I. That's what I do. But it seems to work really well, and it keeps your work so kind of professional and neat looking. Also, let me show you something that I used to do. I'm going to bring this other needle over here that I was using. I used to, when I wanted to achieve a nice loose cast on, I would cast on over 2 needles because somebody told me, oh, that's a good way to keep your cast on from being too tight. Okay, so I'll do that. Let's do one more, and then I'll show you what we're actually accomplishing. See, this down here, the yellow part is just the same. And what has happened is the stitch part, not the cable part, where the stretch has to happen, is the loose part. Now, if you're using a very nice wool that has lots of memory, you're going to be just fine because this probably won't look sloppy. But if you're using something with no memory, like cotton or silk, or something with way less memory, like alpaca, boy, that first row is just going to look sloppy, and it's just going to be disappointingly messy right at the nice starting edge. So you know, I would suggest going back to just using 1 needle, spacing it. I use my index finger to just space that a little bit, not that let them get too tight, and just being gentle and loose, kind of wiggling it into shape. Take your time with the cast on. It is the foundation for your knitted piece, and if you're happy with it, it's going to help a lot. There you go. Hope this is helpful for you. Happy knitting!